Hi, friends. Hello, the world. Welcome to this episode of Tools for Transitioning Humanitarians. And your host, Bisela Manova, greeting you from Gaziantep, Turkey. And the the mosque's prayer calling is accompanying me. So we finally moved into a new apartment, so outside of the hotel, so everything's good. I feel great, and I want to dive to you into the topic of how to disempower yourself. And the reason why I wanted to talk about this is because I was coaching a client and he was telling me that, oh, I see that I actually need to empower myself, right? And we, like, as humanitarians, think about how often we talk about empowerment, how often we talk about empowering communities, empowering affected population, empowering refugees, empowering stateless people, empowering people who are suffering from consequences of wars, conflicts, right? We talk a lot about empowerment, but I think we're not really aware of how much we are disempowering ourselves on a daily basis. And not only ourselves, and possibly we are being disempowered by other people and we're accepting it. And that's really the topic that I want to talk to you about. Oh, and don't worry about these. It's ink from my Lamy ink pen. Unfortunately, this is getting out of control, but this is how it is. So I have compiled 8 ways, 8 common ways that we disempower ourselves on daily minute by minute basis. And I think possibly we're not aware that that's what we're doing. Because if we were aware and if we knew that we don't want to do this anymore, we would probably have found a way to get out of that. And because we're not really aware and we're not really owning how we are disempowering ourselves or allowing others to disempower us, because we're not really aware or we feel like we can't really do anything about it, therefore we're experiencing life that we don't want to experience. So let me dive into all of those 8. I will give you examples of how that's occurring, at least how my clients are telling me about them, and then also talk about what can you do about them. So the first one is the common one is keep doubting yourself or allowing others to doubt you. And this is how it's occurring, right? The examples that I have heard from clients in a lot of the times is we doubt ourselves as soon as we believe we made a mistake, as soon as things didn't go the way that we thought it would go, as soon as our application process is not going the way it goes, then we're doubting ourselves whether we're even a good professional, whether we have what it takes, whether we should be even trying to go for that promotion, whether we should even go for that private sector job, whatever the transitioning that we're making, we start doubting ourselves the minute things don't go. And now the alternatively, the way that we're allowing other people to doubt us is when we are not seeing the a recognition from other colleagues, or maybe they're even saying that, well, you should be performing this way and you're not performing this way, even though we believe that we're performing the way in a way that is satisfactory. But if other people say that, well, you really must have gotten this position because of networking or because of these people, you're not really good at it. And then we take on that doubt from other people, or we don't really feel valued by other people, no matter how much we are doing things, how much we are performing, or how much of the things we're doing the way that we believe they really want to. And then in the end, we don't really see the recognition. We don't really see the that appreciation of how we are doing all of the like all of our best. And then when we don't see it, then we go into, well, then I must not be doing well, I must not be performing all the things they want to, I must not be good enough, there's something missing. And then we just keep force like keep into this proving energy that I call it, right? We keep proving that how we're actually deserving this position. We keep proving that how this we are good at what we do and all of this, right? This is all coming from that doubt. Now, interestingly, that I was talking to another amazing client yesterday, literally, and she was telling me that, well, isn't aren't we supposed to doubt ourselves, right? That's her belief is, aren't we supposed to doubt ourselves? And I asked her why, and she said, because the reason is that if we don't doubt ourselves, we're not going to grow. And this is, I think, the biggest misconception that we all have adopted, is that if we don't doubt ourselves, we're not going to grow. And this is like one of the probably the biggest error thinking that we have, is we just believe if we stop doubting ourselves, we're not going to grow. And in fact, it's the opposite true in my experiences. The more powerful we feel, the more we want to grow. The more we doubt ourselves, the more we don't want to grow, because every time we grow, it's going to be painful, right? Every time we fail, it's going to be painful. Or every time we fail and then we doubt ourselves, it's going to be painful. And because it's painful, it's very hard to grow. And therefore, or what I'm suggesting to do, instead of thinking that you're not going to grow if you don't doubt yourself, ask yourself always, what will be the purpose of doubting yourself? Like, there needs to be always a purpose for why we do things the way we do, right? It can't just be that we do things like for the sake of doing it. We always do things because there is a reason behind it. So if we are doubting ourselves, we better understand why, what's the purpose of doubting ourselves? Is it really the purpose of doubting ourselves so that we can grow, which I don't believe is the case, or is it because we just want to feel bad about ourselves? Is it because we just want to ruin our trust in ourselves? And if that is the case, then we are sabotaging ourselves, and we shouldn't be doing it because it's not going to lead anywhere good. The simple example that I always give to my clients is, let's say that you have a beautiful apartment that you just bought, and then you want to make a repair works inside, and you want to have someone like design it for you, right? And then you start searching for the designer and the people who can do the repair works. And then if you doubt the company or the person who is proposing to do this for you, if you doubt their ability, if you doubt whether they can do it or not, you wouldn't be hiring them, right? This is just as simple as it is. If you doubt them, you wouldn't hire them. And the same goes for, if you keep doubting yourself, you will not use your brilliance to be living the life you want to. You will not allow yourself to go and transition to the life you want to, because you are doubting yourself. You're saying you're not capable of any of this. So why should you even be moving from this place? And that's rightly so. But at the same time, if you don't want to be where you are, then you really need to start learning how to stop doubting yourself, right? And that's where the empowerment or feeling powerful comes in. So, like for any of these categories that I will be talking about, the first thing that we want to always do is recognizing the impact of how we keep treating ourselves, how we keep disempowering ourselves, recognizing the impact of it, and then deciding what to do with it. Right? This is so key, because if we recognize that if we keep doubting ourselves and there's nothing good coming out of it, instead, everything is bad in the sense of we distrusting ourselves the whole time, we allowing others to distrust ourselves the whole time, and then we just keep feeling spinning or confused or stuck and not really moving towards anything. Obviously, we are damaging ourselves, right? We're damaging our trust in ourselves, and that's not what we want to do. Therefore, once we start understanding and recognizing and being aware of this is what we're doing, and most importantly, owning that this is what I am doing to myself, where I'm not even like, it's not even other people, it's me doing this to myself, and I don't want to do that. And once we stop doing that to ourselves, we also don't allow others to do this to ourselves, right? Once we start learning that I don't want to do this to myself, I don't want to treat myself with these doubts, I don't want to keep damaging myself and my trust with myself with these doubts, then we stop allowing others to do that either. Because the only reason why we would tolerate other people's behaviors is we are doing this to ourselves and we are okay with it and we shouldn't be okay with it. So that's the first one. The second one is we keep convincing ourselves that we have these issues and not much can be done about it. And this is like the common thing that I hear from humanitarians. We have always the story of I have no, like, I have confidence issues. I have worthiness issues. I have self-esteem issues. I have commitment issues. I have valuing myself or loving myself issues. And then we just keep sitting on it. This is like the biggest way you can disempower yourself is by keep convincing yourself of how that is true. Like we keep using every evidence you can to say this is true. Now, why would you do that? Why would you do that? Even if, let's say, great, you have this awareness, you have awareness of how you have these issues. That's a great awareness. Well done, you. Now, the next thing always is, what are you going to do about it? Right? That's the logical next question that you could ask yourself. Instead of keep reiterating, ruminating, keep confirming, keep convincing yourself of how that is true and not much can be done about it. Now, we need to also question the other belief of how we can't do anything about it. Why? Why do we believe that we can't do anything about it? Let's say we have confidence issues. Why do we believe it's a static thing that now nothing can be done about it? We are moving, changing, transforming human beings all of the time. We are never static. So why are we making that a static issue? Right? So if it's not static, meaning it can be changed, then what are we going to change it? Now, if we keep feeling I have confidence issues, I haven't like I don't have confidence to do this, I have no confidence to do the interview well, or I have confidence issues taking up that new role. When we keep like claiming this, convincing ourselves of this, what will happen then is what's the impact of that is we're not going to show up powerfully in that interview. We're not going to show up powerfully to get that promotion that we want to, right? Because we're stopping ourselves before even anyone else is trying to. And the only reason I know in details and in intimately these are the topics, obviously, is because I have gone through this myself. And that's why, like, don't think that I'm saying it just using my client's example. I have gone through this as well, except that I never liked my life when I always had confidence issues or worthiness issues or self-esteem issues or commitment issues or valuing or loving myself issues. I never liked my life. And the reason why that is I always believe that the reason why I'm not able to get that thing, to get to that promotion or to that career or to that impact, whatever it is that I really wanted to, I always thought that I can't really do that because of these issues, except that I didn't realize that I was the one holding myself back. I was the one disempowering myself the whole time. And most importantly, I was the one who never really owned to find a solution to them, right? Because I somehow assume that the reason why I have those issues is because of other people, right? I assume that. I assume that the reason why I had worthiness issues is because I was adopted, or I had the self-esteem issues because I was just told by society that's just how it is. Like you have self-esteem issues. Oftentimes, when I ask people, what does that actually even mean? And how do you feel when you lack self-esteem? They don't know what that means. The other thing is a worthiness issue, right? Some of my clients tell me that worthiness comes from other people. No, it comes from within. We decide whether we have worthiness or not. We decide whether we're worthy or not. And then if we are the one who are deciding, then why are we deciding we're not worthy? When I think about it, why on earth would we disempower ourselves knowing that the consequence of that is very negative to our own lives? Why would we do that? The same goes with confidence issues, right? If we keep feeling or convincing ourselves how we don't have confidence, we're not going to build confidence, obviously. if anything, we're going to show more of how we're not confident. Now, once we again recognize that these are the impact of how we keep naming these issues or convincing ourselves that we have these issues, and if we don't do anything about it, then we're not going to get anywhere. Therefore, the first thing, and after being aware of these are the issues that we have, the next thing we definitely need to do is what are we going to do about it, right? How are we going to build that confidence? How are we going to feel worthy? How are we going to finally understand what is the self-esteem that we're missing? How are we going to learn to value ourselves, love ourselves? How are we going to actually empower ourselves that we are worthy or we are confident to go for whatever we want to and free ourselves from that. And one of the great ways that we can do that, if we were confident, how would we show up in that interview and then show up that way? If we felt really worthy of doing whatever we want to, being the person we want to, how we would do or be and practice that. Now, that is going to get us so much more outcome than keep convincing ourselves that we don't have that thing or we have these issues. The third one is keep tolerating treatments that we shouldn't be tolerating. And this is, I think, the huge topic for every humanitarian, including myself, it used to. And the reason why I like lovingly tell everyone is there are lots of treatments that we shouldn't be tolerating, let alone keep ruminating and keep suffering from them over and over again for like dozens, decades of career. So, with some of the treatments that might be that people treating us with anger, with passive aggressiveness, with blame, with reproaching when we don't say anything. When we not only don't say anything, we now are so afraid that we keep like going home every evening, keep thinking about that person, keep thinking about how this is happening, maybe keep discussing it with other people, keep complaining about it, and not do anything about it, right? That's really the part that we really need to understand is that's one of the biggest ways we disempower ourselves by keep tolerating things that we know that we shouldn't be. We know that this is not allowed at workplace, yet we keep doing it. Why? Because we are afraid to do something about it. Because if we believe that if we're going to do something about it, there will be a retaliation or there will be a consequence of not getting the job we want that we have. Um, and that also shows that the reason why we're afraid is because we just believe we can't find anything else that we like. We can't really find anything that we want to, or we can't really find another job that pays this well. And therefore, we feel stuck in the situation and not being able to do anything. And that feels powerless. And that is one of the biggest forms of disempowerment we are doing to ourselves. So, what could be the alternative? The alternative could be us always believing that we have the power to react and decide how to be treated. We have the power also to be going for whatever job we want to. We have the power to make the money we want to. And we don't need to be dependent on this job because as soon as we become dependent, as soon as we become under their control, right? That you control my life in some way. As soon as we put ourselves into that situation, we have disempowered ourselves. And most importantly, we now feel stuck and afraid and victim and not being able to do anything about it. And that's a situation we never want to be in. And if we don't want to be in that situation, we need to understand that we need to feel powerful to be reacting and being treated the way we want to and not how people just happen to treat us. So in order for us to have this powerful conversation with that person who is treating us this way, we need to believe that we are capable of finding whatever other job or money we want to. We are capable of having this conversation in a powerful way without blaming, without destroying anything or without damaging or having conflict, but rather having the conversation where we would say, I don't want to be treated this way. If you have something to say, please say it without being aggressive or angry, because otherwise we don't really have a constructive conversation. Because this is how I perceive you as you are saying these things to me, right? This is how we can say this without blaming the other person, but showing them how we would like to be treated, how we would like to have professional relationships at work. And that comes from this belief in ourselves, belief in our ability to make to go for the job we want to, having that freedom to do that. And that also comes from us building our trust within ourselves instead of keep doubting ourselves, right? As I said above. So the next one is keep feeling stuck. And I think this is something that we recognize a lot of the time. But again, we feel like we can't really do anything about it, right? We keep feeling stuck and we feel there is not much we can do about it. The same goes as like the previous topic about keep having confidence issues or commitment issues or others. Now, when we feel stuck, we always need to understand why we feel stuck. And we usually know the answer to that question. The reason why we feel stuck is because we are believing the alternative of what we want can't happen. And the reason why we believe that is because we have now made our external situations, our money, whatever the other resources that we need to go for the other thing, we have put ourselves a less powerful position than them. And we are saying because of the competition, because of the economy, because of the money situation, because of the situation, I can't really go for what I want to. That's how we have made ourselves stuck. And the other thing possibly we're not doing is we're not really recognizing that we are the one who are putting ourselves in the stuck position. We're also the one who can get ourselves out of that stuck position. So in other words, we are the one who can disempower ourselves. We are also the one who can empower ourselves. Now, why are we not empowering ourselves in that moment? Why are we not believing that we have everything we need to be always going for what we want to? Why are we not doing that? And I think this is a great question for every one of us to ask. And the answers probably come up something like because we have always doubted ourselves, because we have always convinced ourselves that we can't really go for the thing we want to. Excuse me. Because we have always believed the society's rhetoric that says that, well, if you have that job and it's paying that money, or it has those privileges, or it has those status, then you should just absolutely keep doing this no matter what happens. This is what we believe society's rhetoric to be true, right? And we have just believed that this is just how things should be. But should they be though? Because we get to live life once, at least I mean the people that I talk to, and of course there are people who also believe there's life after death as well. But most of the time, we believe that this is the life that we have, right? This is the experience of life that we get to live at least until 90 to 100. And this is the life that we want to live in the way we want to. Now, if we spend most of it or some of it in stuck feeling, like I did for, I don't know, 27 years of my life, it would be so pity to recognize that I actually could do something about it and I never did. And I even think about now is like when I was 27, when my biological parents showed up in my life and they wanted to get to know me and all of these things. And in that moment, realizing that 27 years of my life spending being sad, angry about how they didn't love me, how they didn't want me, how they left me, how da 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 da, all of these things, when I could be spending that emotional space on many other things. And I also recognize that I don't want to spend another 27 years of my life doing that. I've done that enough. Like, it's enough. Whatever happens to them, to me, this is enough. I'm no longer going to suffer because of the people whose behaviors I couldn't control. I couldn't do anything about it. I was 3 months old when that happened. There's not much I can do. What I can really do is now, as of now, what am I going to do moving forward? Right? So that's why feeling stuck for me feels like the life that we could otherwise fill with power, with joy, with so much experience of vibrancy of life, we're just shrinking ourselves, diminishing ourselves, making ourselves powerless, and then just uh, putting ourselves under the control of fear. And not recognizing that we are the one who is doing that to ourselves. And of course, there are lots of circumstances that don't help, right? The circumstances of the humanitarian world not having enough money to be funding, the economy not being predictable, and all of the other things, or competition being so fierce, all of this, and those circumstances don't help, except we always are more powerful than the circumstances. And I think we should recognize that. And the sooner we recognize that, the sooner we realize no matter what the circumstances are, we get to choose how we want to experience our life. And we don't need to experience our lives in a stuck way if we don't want to. And I'm assuming no one wants to. The next one is keep feeling powerless. And this is I wanted to highlight, which is very similar to the previous one. But here, I think one of the things that we often feel powerless about is the systems that we work for. The systems, whether it is large organization, small organization, whatever it is, there is a system in place that governs structures and how things are done and all of this stuff. And then oftentimes we spend our time and energy disempowering ourselves about how the system doesn't work, how this bureaucracy, how this is, how that is. This is not how it should be. And then we just spend so much time and energy being frustrated, disappointed about the system, that is unlikely that we're going to change. Right? And that's how we feel powerless. As soon as we feel powerless, we feel disempowered. And the sooner we feel disempowered or even powerless, we don't want to do the things that we want to. So, in other words, we allow the systems in place to dictate what we're capable of and not capable of achieving at our workplace, in our careers, in our successes, whatever it is. And then we need to recognize that we need to know whether this is worth our time and energy to be frustrated and disappointed about the system that we all know too well, or we still want to achieve those impacts that we want to within the constraints that we have currently. Because keep expecting things change and be different than they are is a bit like keep wasting our time to do nothing really. Right? And we know that that's not what we want to do, though, right? We want to go work on the impact. We want to help those people. We want to be of service. And if we're going to do that, we need to work with the constraints that is already available, unless you're someone who's working on change management, which is amazing. That's another way to go. But again, we cannot go to that change management with the frustrated feeling of, oh, why things are this way and I can't really understand in all of this powerless way, because then we're just exhausting our energy. The next one is keep being hard on yourself or beat yourself up. And this is one of the biggest ways many of us disempower ourselves. And the way we do that is as soon as something that we want to do and we go and do this and it doesn't work, then we beat ourselves up to hell. And then next time we don't want to do that thing again because we're telling ourselves we shouldn't have failed. And since we failed, we're not good enough, or we're not smart enough, we're not intelligent enough, whatever it is. And therefore, you're not going to go and try that again. That's it. End of story. And that's where we don't go anywhere because we're afraid of our own beating ourselves up situation more than anything else. Right? So therefore, we need to understand that the more we beat ourselves up, the more we are hard on ourselves, where are we getting? Like, what outcomes have we created by being very hard on ourselves? What do you think? What great things have you achieved by being hard on yourself? Like a lot of people tell me, I have high expectations. Amazing. Have high expectations. But if you don't achieve those high expectations, don't try to beat yourself up. And then if you are someone who says, no, I have to, ask yourself why? Why do you need that punishment? Why do you need to punish yourself? And the other way that I want you to challenge this is if you like if it was other way around, that someone else was supposed to punish you for you not achieving the things that you want to, would you be okay with that? I'm assuming no. So then if you're not okay with other people punishing you, why would you punish yourself? And most importantly, what have you really achieved by punishing yourself? I personally have never achieved anything by punishing myself. And sometimes people tell me that, well, I need the pressure, I need that other thing, I need that thing, the fear and all the things. Okay, fear is a great motivator to get things done, fine. But you can still fear and not beat yourself up at all. Think about this. So therefore, think about it. If you didn't beat yourself up and didn't weren't hard on yourself, what other things you might have achieved that you haven't so far? Right? What other things you might have achieved from this freedom, from this creativity, from this powerful place? What could you have achieved even more? And learn from the mistakes or failures and keep moving. What would you have achieved instead of keep staying and keep regressing, possibly even by beating yourself up and not recovering from that failure faster and then going for the things you want to. The next one is keep being in indecision. And I think this is the biggest way that we can do a disservice to ourselves, disempower ourselves, is keep wondering around, is this the right decision, the wrong decision? Am I going to be successful or I will fail altogether? And then we just keep staying in this, is this the thing or that thing? And then we keep having lots of questions and never answer, or most importantly, never honor the answers that we give. We don't even trust and believe those answers. Therefore, we just keep looking for other answers somewhere else. And like the other thing is that because we don't really trust our own opinion and answers, we then keep seeking answers from other people, and we're likely to believe their answers more, even though that's going against our interests. Now, why that is? Why is it that we are not willing to make a decision? And the reason why that is because we're afraid. And the reason why we're afraid is we're not trusting ourselves that we can make a decision and move on and implement that. Because if we believe that we're good at making decisions, we always make powerful decisions, and we are going to move forward with that decision and then see how the outcome is. And then if the outcome is not what we want, we can always make another decision. If we kept doing that way, imagine how life would be. We wouldn't be stuck in our place. We wouldn't be doing things we don't want to. We wouldn't be forcing ourselves to do things we don't want to. We would be always going for the thing we want to, because we kept deciding about, this is how I want to do, this is how I want to go for, these are the things that I want to experience, these are the impacts I want to make, and here are the ways I can get to, and therefore let me make a decision and start implementing it. That's what we would do. But the reason we're not doing it is because we're afraid of making the wrong decision. And because we are afraid of making the wrong decision, we're not going anywhere. And all we do is we keep postponing the life we want to live. We keep postponing making the impact we want to make, and keep complaining about the situation where we're in. Disempowerment, dynamo effect. Is it the dynamo effect? It just keeps going to one thing to another, and then it keeps affecting everything else in life. Did you know that you can even make decisions about what kind of money you want to make, how you want to make it, and then go and make it, and then find out how best to make that. And we're not even doing that because we're so afraid of even getting out of the situation we don't want to be in. And that's why the more we don't make decisions, the longer we keep disempowering ourselves. And if we're not wanting to do that, we need to learn how to make powerful decisions. And the last one is keep expecting validation from others and believing that the validation is the only reason that something is true about ourselves. And that's the biggest way we can disempower ourselves. And the way that we're doing it is that we are believing that we're great professionals, we're doing all the things, and then as soon as someone doesn't validate that that's true, then we start doubting and worrying and not really like sleeping well, and then disempowering ourselves by being dependent on other people's confirmation of whether we're doing the right thing or not. And that is the biggest way that we are doing it every day. I'm sorry that I see my battery might be dying soon. Okay. So if we don't want to keep seeking validation and keep disempowering ourselves, then we need to understand what are we going to believe when we get the confirmation and validation from someone else, and why are we not able to give this to ourselves? We can get from others amazing, but when there is an absence of validation from others, how can we trust our own opinion that we're doing the things right? We're doing things the way we want to, how can we trust our opinion equally instead of keep searching for the validation from others and keep disempowering ourselves? Because the more we keep searching for the validation and we don't get the validation, we're not going to recognize all the efforts that we made. And if we're not doing that, we're harming ourselves by not trusting our own opinion. And we're just throwing out all the work that we have done out of the window just because we didn't get the confirmation from others. And that would be very unfair to ourselves. And if we don't want to do that, if we don't want to disempower ourselves, then we need to learn not to seek validation from others, but rather trusting our opinion equally and then going with it. So, my dears, if you would like to work on any of these, absolutely come coach with me. I would love to coach you to get to the transitioning where you no longer disempower yourself in any of these ways and always choose powerful, empowered place to be living the life you want to, making the impact you want to. So come coach with me, message me or email me at asel@complaintfree.life. Have a beautiful week.